Hello, my name is Quincy Woods, and I'm a nurse practitioner student. And this is Gesner. He's going to be my patient today for the neurological assessment of cranial nerves. Hey, Gesner, how you feeling today?
Feeling great, Quincy. How are you?
I'm doing really well today. I'm going to be your nurse practitioner. I'm going to be examining you today. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is if you've noticed any changes in sensation of your face or even your arms or legs, any numbness or tingling.
No.
Okay, great. And have you noticed any vision changes?
Nope. Not at all.
All right. How about hearing problems?
No problem at all.
All right. Well, that's great. We're going to go ahead and get started. What I have done previously is I have assessed both of Gesner's eyes with the Snelling's chart and assessed one eye at a time with him covering the opposite eye. And now at this point I will go ahead and begin to assess for his olfactory cranial nerve. That's cranial nerve number 1. And I'll do that by asking him to cover one nostril, and I'm going to have him identify a smell for me. So can you cover your left nostril for me? Can you tell me what you smell?
Coffee.
Okay, and can you cover now your right nostril? Can you tell me what you smell?
Coffee.
All right. So Gesner was able to identify the smell of coffee correctly. That will move us on to the optic nerve, and that's going to be cranial nerve number 2. First thing that I will assess for his eyes is going to be his red light reflex, and so I'll do that by being about an arm's length distance. And I'll turn on my light here. Looks good. Both eyes. Check well for that. And as I'm doing that as well, I was able to notice that his pupils are also equally round and reactive to light on both sides. So while I'm doing this now, I'm going to come forward with this light and be a little uncomfortable. And I'm going to take a look into the back of your eye, okay? And so I would assess his right eye using my right hand holding my photomoscope. Just look straight for me. Just stare straight at the wall here, okay? All right. And now I would switch hands, and I would assess his left eye holding in my left hand. And just continue to stare at the wall for me. All right. Everything looks good here. I was able to see fundus as well as the vessels. There's no signs of hemorrhage, retinopathy. Now what I would like to do is I will move on to his ocular motor nerve, cranial nerve number 3. I will also assess cranial nerve number 4 and cranial nerve number 6 as well, trochlear and the adducens cranial nerve. And so to do that, I will ask you to follow my finger with just your eyes, and we're going to assess the 6 cardinal signs or the 6 cardinal directions. He is able to follow without problem. He has good motor control of his eyes. Now, if you will look at the wall for me, and then what I want you to do is after you're focusing on that wall, I'd like you to now look at my finger. And his his eyes are able to adjust to farsightedness and nearsightedness, and they track well and equal on both sides. Now, what I would like to do is I would like to test his hearing as well while I am moving forward from the motor control for his eyes. And so to do that, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to place this little funny tool on your head, and I want you to tell me if it sounds the same on both sides. Okay?
Yes.
All right. And then now I'm going to do something sort of similar. I'm going to bring this and put it by your ear. You just tell me when you can no longer hear it.
No more.
Okay.
No more.
And does that sound about the same for both sides?
Yes.
All right. You able to hear that?
Yep.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All right. So his hearing is equal on both sides. He's not experienced any hearing loss. Now, what I would like to do, I'm going to get you to copy some facial expressions of mine. Um, I'm going to move on and I'm going to go ahead and assess cranial nerve number 7. Um, and to assess cranial nerve number 7, this is the facial nerve, and we're going to look for symmetry in his facial structure and muscles, and that he is able to have motor control of the muscles in his face. So first, we'll just kind of puff out like a blowfish. Smile, frown. Okay. Now, can you raise your eyes for me? All right. And now, what I would like you to do is close your eyes. Okay. Don't let me open it. Okay. Perfect. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and assess his TMJ joints. I'd like for you to open your jaw for me and close. All right, good. And now open your mouth for me and don't let me close it. Okay. Um, Facial nerve checks out well. No problems with symmetry. No drooping of the eyelids or of the face. He's able to wrinkle his forehead, symmetric on both sides as well. The cranial nerve number 5, we will assess the trigeminal nerve. That is the corneal reflex, which we've already checked with my otomoscope. And then we had moved forward to cranial nerve number 7. We also, with the trigeminal nerve, cranial nerve number 5, we checked his TMJ joint, his jaw, and then we'll move on forward to cranial nerve number 8, vestibular cochlear nerve. That is when we've tested his hearing. That checked out well, and we move on forward. We did the Rhines test as well as the Weber's test. And so from there, we would move forward to cranial nerve number 9 and cranial nerve number 10, vagus nerve, and the glossopharyngeal nerve. And so I would ask you if you've noticed any hoarseness in your voice.
No.
Have you noticed any problems swallowing?
Nope.
Okay, and so what I would do now is I would take my pen light and I would ask him to say ah. There we go. Say ah for me.
Ah.
One more time.
Ah.
All right. He has rise of his soft palate, equal on both sides. Uvula stays midline. I'd ask you now to. We already checked his facial nerve for puffing out of the cheeks, and what we would want to do now is test for gag reflex. So to be kind, we will not actually test his gag reflex. His gag reflex is checked out fine. We would want to now move on to cranial nerve number 11. And on cranial nerve number 11, I would ask you to lift both shoulders. Okay, and so now I'm going to put pressure, and I'd like for you to do the same. Okay, equal strength on both sides. Both shoulders are able to rise against the pressure. I'd ask you to now turn your face against my hand. Okay, and how about here? All right, put your ear to your shoulder. There you go. And this one. Okay, equal strength and motor control of his neck as well as his shoulder muscles. What we would do now is we would move forward to cranial nerve number 12. Cranial nerve number 12, I will ask you to stick your tongue out for me with your mouth open, stick it kind of straight out. And so I would want him to hold this position for about 20 seconds, which we won't do. You can go ahead and go back in. And what I'm looking for here is deviation of the tongue to either side. I want to make sure that the tongue is able to stay midline without deviation left or right. I would then take my tongue blade, and I would do this actually when I'm assessing for gag reflex, but with uh, cranial nerve 12, I would actually move his tongue to the left uh, and to the right, and then make sure that his tongue is able to come back midline on its own naturally. So everything checks out great, Gesner. What I would like to do, one more thing for cranial nerve 11, is I would like for you to stand up for me and just take a few steps forward, okay? And then turn around and walk back and sit for me, okay? And Gesner is able to walk and turn, and I'm specifically looking at him being able to turn around and for him to have good motor control of his extremities. Now what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to close your eyes and stick your hands out, and I'd like for you to now touch your nose with one hand, with your index finger. Perfect. And how about the other one? Perfect. All right. And so everything checks out to be great and normal. You put your hands down now. I've enjoyed working with you, doing these assessments and whatnot, and I really appreciate your help.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sounds good.